I want to talk for a second about sine waves and astrology. It's really, really fascinating. For any event in astrology, when that event occurs, a series of sine waves gets created. This is called declinations. Every time there's any aspect, what happens is a sine wave gets created. When Pluto moved into Aquarius, a whole set of sine waves, right, are created at that moment. So what you can do is you can, from that moment, track the sine waves going forward. When there's a full moon, a whole set of lunar and then other planets gets created. When there's a new moon and when there's an aspect in your chart and when you're born, and like all of this has sine waves. Some events have happened in this country recently, coincided with some sine waves that I saw bottoming out in the middle of this summer. Pluto, when it moved into Aquarius in the spring, a new moon, it showed lunar declinations bottoming, the sine wave bottoming in midsummer. And so I was like a little stressed about that. Personally, I was like, oh my God, what's going to happen? Right? Because we're going to have to let go of something. But just a miraculous thing has happened that I didn't expect. It's like what happened, what we let go. It wasn't in the physical, it wasn't a physical shift in our reality so much as it was, I called it an earthquake of the human psyche. We have shifted. It's like all of us together experienced some kind of energy earthquake that shifted our fields. It was in energy. It was affecting our energetic states of being, our energy fields. And it's perceptible to me. So here's the thing. When you have your lunar waves or planetary waves in astrology dip to zero declination, so to the bottom of the sine curve, what that means is we are invited, and I just say by divinity, to let go of something that we didn't want to let go of, but it is in our highest good to let go of, okay? And it can be more and more painful if we try to hold on. If we gently just let it go and let it be okay that somebody is moving out of our life, that a job is ending, that you're moving to a new place, whatever it happens to be. So here's what happened. There was a triangle on the chart, and it has been on the chart for a long time. In fact, since I started doing astrology videos, this effect has been in place, and it's going to be in place for a little while because the bodies, the celestial bodies involved, move very slowly. So Pluto right now is at 29 of Capricorn, but Sedna is at 0 of Gemini, and it's going to be at 0, but being at 0 is a big deal because it is conjunct the star Alcyone, which is in the Pleiades. And some people refer to Alcyone as the central sun. You know, for some people, this is the central sun. And I would say energetically or from a higher dimensional perspective, maybe even. Some people say that the Pleiades is a gateway to Earth somehow, that when souls are coming through to Earth, that they go through the Pleiades. You know, I've heard that as well. And here's the thing, okay? For some reason, when Alcyone is aspected, there can be negative situations with children. If you go back and you look at the ancient, what has been said about them, this is what you will find. And Pluto is in a trine with Sedna. Sedna is the asteroid representing the wounded child. She goes through a whole state of victimhood. And in my other videos where Sedna is mentioned in the last 3 months, I've gone into this in detail. And she transforms. She ends up going to the bottom of the ocean. So she goes to the bottom of the sine wave. Okay. She goes through the entire experience of victimhood, hits the bottom of the ocean, and then rises up as a goddess. Do you see how that her story totally relates with sine waves and how energy flows, right? And so Pluto's been aspecting her. And, you know, Pluto is a hard ass. Excuse me. He's a hard ass, man. He's not going to let you get away with anything. And if you're in victimhood and Pluto aspects something important on your chart, he and you are going to get to the bottom of it. And it can be easy or it can be painful. It's probably never going to be easy, but it can be painful or it could be more painful. You know, it can be challenging, and you walk through the challenge with as much of your dignity intact as possible, if that's even possible, facing the incredible force of Pluto, or you just have to let it go and know that you are a pure soul in human form. And that is the only truth that I can know that's real. Right? So that's what Pluto does. And when he trines Sedna, he's actually supporting her to come out of victimhood and come back into relationship with the soul. And that's why this aspect has just wowed me since I started making videos. It might have been late 2021 on astrology. So it's just wowed me, because Pluto is being supportive in this role. And that's an incredible gift for us to come out of victimhood. Well, here was what the triangle was. The triangle was Pluto, trine Sedna at 0 Gemini, trine Ceres. And Ceres has been at the late degrees of Virgo, then she was at the early degrees of Libra. What does that mean? Ceres is the divine mother. She's the goddess that goes down to the underworld. Again, the sine waves. She's a divine mother. Okay. So when she's expressing her love, she's up high in the sine wave, right? When life is good, it's spring, flowers are blooming, the chicks are hatching, she controls the seasons. And so you go up. Okay. And then what happens is she has to go down into the underworld. So she goes down the sine wave to the bottom. When she gets to the bottom, she's completely naked, facing the awful truths. And then she gets her daughter and comes back out of the underworld. She is strong and wise enough to be able to do that. And how does she do that? The inherent divinity within her guides her. So it can represent a mother rescuing her daughter. It can also represent a man or a woman going within the self and accessing and healing the inner child who's been traumatized and bringing the soul that's trapped in that energy up and integrating it back into your life experience, to your body, to the life experience of this life as a living human with a living soul. Or that part of the soul returns home. It kind of just depends on what's going on for you with whatever happened. So this is the triangle that's broken. Ceres has now moved out of range of trine with Pluto. And she is, she's about 8 degrees away now. So for an asteroid, that's really far. So that's the powerful triangle that broke. Now, are there other important things going on? Yes. The other thing that's going on is the moon has recently squared. The transit moon has squared both Saturn and Neptune. And it's interesting because I like to see the positive and the negative. Like I like to transmute energy, right? And so what these squares can do, can they bring challenge? Yes. Can they give us energy? Yes. So the way that we get energy from the challenge is that we accept that it's happening. Okay. We accept whatever the challenge is. And then we work with the divinity within to get stronger, right? We work with that connection within. And the other thing that's going on here with this new moon is Uranus is square Lilith by 1 degree. And Lilith is in Leo. So this is going to challenge us to really step forward in our personal lives because, there's plenty of people who've written about Lilith in the negative, and in my view, in a distorted way in some or many cases. But here's the positive of Lilith, and she's conjunct Venus. So I think that emphasizes this and elevates Lilith in Leo, right? The sign of the individual. So this is affecting us as individuals. Venus representing what we truly care about, what we truly love, right? What we're willing to go to war over. Lilith is essentially, I see her as a queen. I call her the dark queen, the queen of the shadow side of your personality. All of us have Lilith in our astrology chart, just one of the other aspects in astrology. But what she represents in the positive, right, in the elevated state, is the strong and uplifted woman or feminine energy that has the capability to be facile in the non-physical to understand what is going on in the non-physical, when protection is needed, how to protect your home, how to protect your family, how to protect your children. From women, that's, Lilith, in my view, in the non-physical. Now, there's a lot of women who are distorting, in my view. I've seen that unfortunately, I've seen it quite a lot, all right, in real life, where they're taking this type of energy and because I don't know why they do it, why they're doing it, but they're taking it to the dark side, and I do not consent to that, okay? But it's happening in a lot of women. I don't know why there's this trend right now, but I think it has something to do with the energy of Dionysus and women being under some women coming under a sort of spell or insanity or trance. That's a story for another day, because I'm focusing on the positive side here with Lilith conjunct Venus, right? In the negative, that would be, I don't want to talk about that. In the positive, it's how do I protect what's mine? Not just from the physical, right? Venus is very much about what's valuable, but also what's valuable in the physical. She rules Taurus. But Lilith is a perfect complement to assist with that. They talk about the mama bear, and Ceres very much represents that energy of the mama bear, right? You don't want to mess with the mama bear. And to me, that's what Lilith is in the non-physical. And I think it's about time for us as women to reclaim these capabilities and stop listening to those who tell us that it can only come from a negative place, power. That's a lie. And that there's something wrong with it, because what happens is people who want to be good, who want to come from the light or whatever, they don't want to be bad. I know I'm using these terms and it's a little boring to me now, but yet this is what we've lived. Well, I don't want to do that because it's bad. A lot of times I have people say to me, especially if they're coming from the Christian side, they want to understand, how is this not bad, to do energy reading or, and I'll explain to them, I'm working with God, the Most High, the Creator, the source of the soul, the God of Jesus Christ, in my view. And I work with, I was taught, energy, as I described earlier this morning. I was taught a lot of what I do by Jesus and by other guides. I won't go into the whole thing. I talked about it this morning on that live, the meditation live. But here's the thing, okay? This is ours. This is our capability as living human beings, that we can have dominion in alignment with divine will, with God's will through us. Jesus had that. He casted negative forces out of people, and he told us we had the authority to do that. That's in scripture. So if we have the authority, it's about time we learned how to do it. And this is a core and key role of women, in my view. Now, do men have this as well? Yes. But, the male side of it, I don't think has been as distorted, because I think that there is a general respect for the concept of the shaman, which in my view is a traditional male role. The role of the woman as mystic doing these things is what has really gotten distorted. And as women, it's time for us to recognize this. I was with a group of friends. We were doing meditation, and my girlfriend was leading it. And, one of the people brought up, well, men really have to shift their energy. And it wasn't my thing. And I just wanted to sit and be there and not, just be in the meditative space that I was in. So I didn't say anything, but I'm saying it here because I've meant to talk about this. But when I've tried to schedule my Wisdoms of Women discussion, amazing things happen on the Schumann, and I did that instead. But it's time for us as women to shift, and it's my view that the men are now waiting for us to shift and to get our act together in this way. And the way that you do these things in a way that is godly, um, and I've already defined God, right, earlier, but the way that you do that in alignment with divine meaning of God through you, is you learn how to connect. And I shared this morning that Jesus was my guide for this, okay? And I got perfect advice, and prayer from him to do this. So you do prayer, you do meditation, you do energy work, and you learn to connect with the living soul that the creator gifted you. Okay. And then you do your protection work from that place. And that's where our authority lies. That is discussed in scripture. It comes from the divinity that we are and no other place. And a lot of people who work with these lower beings, okay, it amazes me. All right. I'm going to give you one story where I was chatting with I was chatting with a gentleman who was involved in like, you know, starting companies, the financial area in general. Okay, that's pretty vague. And it was so interesting because I was explaining an experience to him that I had. For some reason, it was related to our discussion, and it was about energy machines. And he started talking about the energy machine, and he said, "Was it," and he gave me a couple of details, and I said, "Yes," and I knew there was no way he could know that. And then I immediately saw that he was being advised in the non-physical. Now, was it of the light or was it of the darkness? Well, I was to find out because I dreamed about it. I was given a dream about it. And then I I noticed the energy. Why? Because these are the wisdoms of women. This is what we have access to, and men too. Okay, but the reason I'm focused on women so much is I think that it's time that we reclaimed this part of us, the mystic, the priestess, the woman in the home who cares for the family from the home. The home is our place, our center, our point of power, right? Where we make the safe space in the non-physical for our families. All right. And the man complements that with his physical. Now, this is a traditional role, but we have forgotten, and it's hurt us and it's hurt the children. It's really hurt the children to not have this protection. It really has hurt them, right? And I don't consent to that. I'm going to not tell stories about that, but I could. And I'm sure many of you could too, you know? And this basic structure in the family home is to, protect everyone involved and uplift everyone involved. And when we focus on the outliers too much, we do a disservice to our own selves, and we lose something. We lose something that's important, that is very, very valuable. And so Uranus square Lilith, this is the energy to face something, and not just face it. Lilith acts, and nothing stops her when she when she wants to roll out. Now, can she be a huge bitch? Yes. Okay. Who hasn't done that? That's a woman. I mean, I have. Okay. But anyway, so the North Node is at 0 of Taurus. Okay, so that is incredibly powerful. It's very wild and greedy energy, um, focused on the earth and the resources of the earth. So we need our connection with Lilith to defend what's ours here, to stand up for ourselves, because we've got the head of the reptile focused on earth and Earth's resources with this new moon. Now, the head of the reptile can also be, or the head of the dragon, can also be a new way of approaching these things. The old energy shifts into a new position, a new orientation. Will that be for, good, or will it be for something else? I just don't know. We're going to have to see how this plays out. What I do know is that there are 2 yods in this new moon chart as well. One to Pluto. Actually, you know what? The yod to Pluto is just in the San Francisco area. The other yod, which is for everyone, is Saturn. And Saturn is aspected by 2 asteroids, Ceres, so she makes her influence felt again, the Divine Mother, and Varuna, justice. Mamas are going to get their justice here. And mamas care about the spiritual structure, right? Saturn. They want the structure of this world to deliver personal justice. For all the people that are important to them in their lives. That's what the mothers want. It's really amazing that at this sine wave dip, I said that we had to let something go. What we're letting go of our naivete. We're letting go of our victimhood. We're letting go of the need to believe everything is fine. Everything is fine. No, it's not. Are we letting go of our innocence? No. We need to let go of these things to recover our innocence, to recover the connection with soul, and to truly live in alignment with God's will for each of us as an individual. And so what happened is this incredible movie came out. I only went to the last hour because I thought 2 hours would be too intense for me. That is impacting people in a huge way. You're getting people going on social media crying, saying, we've got to stop this. We've got to act. People are losing their naivete. They're losing their ignorance. And I never expected that this would be what happened when the Pluto energy bottomed, but it makes so much sense. As Ceres moved off of this trine with Pluto, it just generated this incredible energy. Was it a coincidence that this movie came out right as that triangle was breaking? Okay. Or is it not a coincidence? I don't know. Is it just in the flow, right? That's how it should be. I don't know, but I'm grateful for it. So do you see how at the bottom of the sine wave, it's like a yod in astrology. A yod is the finger of God pointing to what God says. Focus on this in your life. Focus on this, in the world, however that expresses for you. The letting go, the bottom of the sine wave, God decides what we're going to let go of ultimately in our lives. And we are having to let go of our ignorance and to recover our innocence. Innocence is purity of connection with God, with the divine, with the creator, with one's own living soul. There's also the possibility for shocking communications to come out here this month, because Uranus is in a wide square with Mercury and Jupiter is in an exact square with Mercury. Jupiter and Uranus are 11 degrees apart, and the new moon is in Cancer. It's at 24 of Cancer. That's the moon and the sun are going to be at 24 degrees. Trine Neptune retrograde. And thank God for this, that we get some relief from the illusion, delusion, and the shocking spiritual stuff. This is going to allow us to transmute these things to the positive spiritually, if that's our choice, okay? Because that's the energy that's out there.